Hey guys, so I wanted to answer a few questions I got about how AuthRoute works. So to do this, I set up a small demo to kind of show you an example of how it might work with multiple auth routes and switching between them. Now to do this, I changed a tslint setting in the root directory. So I turned off this rule right here. This one involves when you use lambdas because I was using a couple lambdas and I didn't want to turn off that rule every time. So I created a new thing over here called demo delete. You see the routes. I have two authenticated routes now, create listing and then a delete one. And then in my create listing, all I'm doing is have a button that allows me to go over to delete listing or delete demo. And over here, what this does is it deletes a listing. So I haven't used this before, but this is the rendered prop version. So this is something from React Apollo that allows you to call mutations like this. So I passed in a delete mutation right here, and then they give me a function and I can call that function. So whenever I click this button, what I'll do is I'll call this mutation right here every time this button is clicked. So this is something we only want authenticated users to do, at least in this demo, right? And in our backend we have we're checking whether the user is logged in or not, and are only allowing them if they are. And so I'm also gating it on the front end by having it in an auth route. So with that background, let's go through the demo that I want to talk about real quick. So if I head over to create listing, and notice I am logged in right now, we're going to talk about network requests real quick. So I want to talk about the number of requests we're going to be making as we switch pages. Now we make one request to the server on page load, and that is to grab the user. There's a lot of junk right here. You can see there's a lot of different stuff going on, like our bundle and whatnot. The stuff we care about is localhost, and this is the request we're making to the server. So this options one, that's fine. This is just seeing what requests we can do to the server. And then here you can, if you scroll down to the bottom, you can actually see what this is. This is our me query getting executed at the bottom. So that one request we made to the server, but we don't make more requests or run the me query multiple times when we switch pages. So here I click on this button to transition pages. I'm now on delete demo. I'm not making another request. You don't see more requests down here, 2 out of 7. No more are coming out there. I can just toggle back and forth between these, and nothing more happens. And the reason for that, it's a combination between React Router and Apollo. So Apollo does not, or Apollo does cache these queries. So now if I were to call the me query anywhere else on any other page, on any other component, the default would be it would read it from the cache, so it would not make another request. So we don't have to worry about making a server request every time we change pages, only on the initial page load. And secondly, how React Router works is it doesn't always re-render stuff. It sometimes only renders the first time, depending on how this works. So for example here, the way I have it set up is we're loading AuthRoute. We're loading 2 auth routes, right? So we're actually making the request, I'm only making it once, but it's loading twice, and they're both pulling from the same data source, that cached me query. So it's not firing multiple times. So that's how the network requests will work. It'll only happen once, and then after that, any page changes, it'll get from the cache if it needs to call it again. Now the other thing I wanted to go over is what happens if I kill my cookie in between. So I don't want to allow people to be able to delete listings if they're not logged in. So if I'm over here on create listing and I clear my cookie, because of how we have it set up, if I go over here, it does not kick me out. Now first off, most users will not be deleting their cookies. You're really just you're dealing with someone who's goofing around with their cookies, or you have a hacker or something. I don't know who's messing around with their cookies. But for the most part, average users are not going to do this. But if they do this, all that's going to happen is if they try to access something they shouldn't, like for example here I am trying to delete the listing, it's going to be catching a request server side. So we have logic on the server that's checking your cookie. So if you clear your cookie, doesn't matter if I can see the page where I can delete a listing. If I try to do any type of action that is not allowed, then the server will catch it. And that's why it's very important to do checks server side, is because people can manipulate your code on the client side. They can play with their cookies, they can play with their local storage to get stuff the way they want it to. So you have to check stuff server side, check the cookies, and check whether they have the right permissions to do things, and you're pretty much safe if you have the server locked down. So that's it for this video, guys. Just want to answer those two questions, and let me know in the comments below if you have any more questions about how the AuthRoute is working. And that's pretty much what we'll be using for authentication for different routes. And in tomorrow's video, we'll actually build out the create listing over here. We'll start on the form.